The moment I arrived at Outpost Theta 9, I knew I'd screwed up somewhere. Maybe it was the way the station looked like a drunk cube wrapped in antennae and duct tape. Maybe it was the welcome committee, just one janitorial drone that beeped, "Greetings, carbon scum," before short-circuiting. Or maybe it was the mission file I received an hour too late, stamped in digital red, reassignment, classified cause, disciplinary. Nobody said anything after that. Just a long, echoing silence and a cramped shuttle ride with a pilot who chewed synthetic gum and muttered to himself in binary. The air smelled like sterilized nothingness when I stepped out, like someone had tried too hard to make it not smell like anything and overdid it. A maintenance bot the size of a small rhino rolled past me, dragging a mop across the wall instead of the floor. Sparks flew. It cursed in 7 languages. So, yeah. Home sweet home. I'd been told there would be a briefing. Some kind of formal introduction. Maybe even a human face to shake hands with and pretend we weren't both questioning our life choices. Instead, I was met by a voice through the intercom that sounded suspiciously like someone doing a robot impression of an angry grandmother. Proceed to level 3, barracks sector. Your presence is noted. Your hygiene is not. I saluted the wall. It didn't salute back. Elevators on Theta 9 weren't elevators. They were vertical transport columns that blasted you upward like a pneumatic tube, complete with nausea and existential regret. I landed on level 3 with the grace of a potato and stumbled into a corridor that flickered in and out of lighting like it wasn't quite sure whether it wanted to exist. And that's when I saw her. She was standing at the far end of the hallway, unmoving. Tall, lean, armor that shimmered like it was grown, not built. Her skin had that soft iridescence you'd only see if you stared too long at a soap bubble. Except sharper, like a blade just pretending to be pretty. Her eyes locked onto mine, unreadable. I nodded, trying to look casual. Hey. Nice armor. Do you get that custom, or is it a murder-wise standard issue? She didn't blink. Didn't move. Just stared. I cleared my throat. I'm the new guy. Probably not permanently, if I can help it. Still nothing. Not even a twitch. Right. Great talk. I turned to walk past her, trying not to let her silence crawl under my skin. But then, she moved. One slow, precise step forward. And then another. I tensed. Was this protocol? An alien death ritual? A hug? She stopped exactly 1 meter away. I knew because the implant in my temple screamed, "Danger, unknown entity, 1 meter," which was helpful in the same way that shouting, "Shark," is helpful after it bites your leg. And then she did the most unsettling thing I'd seen since the mess hall incident on Draylon 7. She bowed. Not a nod. Not a dip. A full, formal, fluid bow, like I was someone important. Someone sacred. And her voice, when it came, was low and precise, each word carved like crystal. You are assigned to me. I blinked. Sorry, what? You are assigned to me, she repeated. Per command directive. I looked around. No one laughed. No one jumped out with a camera yelling *, gotcha, human. Star. She was serious. I think there's been a mix-up, I said, hands raised. I'm not assignable. I'm barely employable. Honestly, I'm just here to not get court-martialed. She stared again. I was beginning to think that was her resting face. You are Daniel Solon, she said. Regrettably. Rank, Lieutenant. Specialization, tactical navigation and sarcasm. Well, only one of those is real. She turned and started walking, her steps silent on the metallic floor. Follow. I don't even know your name, I called after her. I have no name you would understand. Oh good. This will be simple. The rest of the walk was silent. I tried to fill it. Asked her if she liked music. If her armor itched. If her species also found humans weirdly shaped and emotionally fragile. Got no answers. Just the sound of boots and whatever soft hum followed her like a ghost. Her quarters, or maybe ours now, were sleek, minimal, and alien. Nothing in it looked like it was made for human comfort. The seats looked sharp. The bed looked like an apology. A tiny sphere hovered in the corner, scanning the air and occasionally emitting a noise like it disapproved of me personally. "You will sleep there," she said, pointing to a rectangular slab that may or may not have been a bed. It pulsed faintly. "Comfortable," I muttered. "Like sleeping on a judgmental microwave." She didn't laugh. Or smile. But I could swear her eyes flicked with something. Then she did something odd. She sat across from me, hands folded, and waited. "For what?" I asked. "For you to ask." "Ask what?" "Whatever it is you are thinking. You have questions." I did. Hundreds. Mostly involving why me, how do I unvolunteer from this program, and is this species known for devouring coworkers, but what came out was, "Do you eat meat?" She blinked. "Not the way you mean." "That's somehow worse." A beat of silence. "What's your function here?" I asked finally. "Observation. Containment. Translation. And I'm the, what, assistant translator. Pet human. You are the variable." Again. Not comforting. Another pause. Then, her voice softened, barely. "You are not what you seem." I chuckled. "Believe me, you're not the first person to say that. Most of my exes would agree." She didn't ask what exes were. Just stood up. "Rest," she said. "Tomorrow, we begin." "Begin what?" But she was already gone, her form dissolving into the shadowed corridor like smoke folding into itself. I lay on the pulsing slab and stared at the ceiling, which periodically blinked green for no apparent reason. Assigned to an alien woman who said I wasn't what I seemed. Definitely not the weirdest Tuesday I'd had. But close. Very, very close. I woke up to the sound of something chirping angrily. It wasn't a bird, because we were in deep space and the only thing that flew here were surveillance drones and the occasional rogue maintenance bot having a midlife crisis. No, the chirping came from a small orb floating 2 inches from my face, blinking a series of red warnings that probably translated to asterisk, "Get up or I'll vaporize your eyebrows." Asterisk. I sat up fast, which was a mistake, because the bedpod decided I'd overstayed my welcome and gently ejected me onto the floor. By gently, I mean it flung me like a malfunctioning springboard. I hit the cold paneling with a grunt and rolled under a table that was shaped like a question mark and just as emotionally confusing. The orb chirped again. Louder. Yeah, I'm up," I muttered. "Do you float in front of all your guests while they sleep, or am I special?" The orb made a flat noise that sounded suspiciously like sarcasm. Then it zipped out of the room, leaving behind a trail of ionized air and hurt feelings. Blue was waiting in the corridor. Still silent. Still unreadable. Her armor had shifted, slightly less ceremonial, slightly more functional. Either she was preparing for battle or for coffee. I couldn't tell. "You slept," she said. "Technically, yes. If you count drifting in and out of consciousness while my spine tried to unionize." She turned and started walking. I followed. We passed through hallways that looked like they were designed by a committee of abstract artists and war criminals, walls that bent in weird places, ceilings that flickered to a rhythm I couldn't quite catch. At one point, a ceiling panel opened and dropped a glowing cube that meowed before rolling away. "Is that normal?" I asked. "No." Neat. We arrived at what I assumed was the mess hall, although calling it that felt generous. It was a room. There were chairs. There were things to eat. The food dispensers were voice-activated and passive-aggressive. One refused to acknowledge me until I apologized for tone. The other one gave me a glowing blue pudding that vibrated. Blue didn't eat. She just stood across from me, arms folded, eyes studying me like I was a malfunctioning data file she hadn't decided whether to delete or reboot. "So," I said, poking the pudding with a spork. "We starting our big mission today? Galaxy saving? Secret prophecy? Mysterious lost technology? Orientation? Right. So, like, training videos? Fire drill? Maybe some group trust exercises?" "Follow," she said. I took that as a yes. We walked through a set of sealed doors that hissed open with just enough menace to make me uncomfortable. Beyond them was a room unlike any I'd seen before. Holograms spun lazily in the air, planets, data clusters, fleet diagrams. The ceiling was a transparent dome showing the stars above us, though I wasn't sure if it was real or a very smug projection. "This is the core," she said. "Central memory. Strategy matrix. Cultural index." I blinked. "It's a library." She nodded. "A living one." Then the walls moved. Not like doors. Like skin. Shifting, rippling, revealing alcoves and symbols and flickering panels that rearranged themselves as we walked. Blue placed her palm against a console, and it responded with a low hum, recognition, maybe, or greeting. A new image unfolded in front of us, showing a star system I didn't recognize. "This," she said, "is Arathkiel. Where I was born. And where your name was first spoken." I frowned. "I've never been to, wait, what?" She turned toward me, face unreadable. "You are known there." I laughed. Not because it was funny, because the alternative was a quiet spiral into panic. "Okay. Cool. Known how? As in, he saved our people or he once mistook our holy relic for a coffee maker?" She didn't answer. Which honestly didn't help. Instead, she gestured again, and the image shifted, to a memory recording. I saw a man. Human. Dressed in older tech gear, tactical, but with insignias I didn't recognize. He was yelling something in a language I didn't know. Behind him, figures that looked like Blue's kind fought in some ancient battle, chaos, energy blasts, airborne creatures with too many wings. The man turned. For a second, his face filled the frame. It was me. I staggered back. No. No, no, that's not me. That's someone who looks like me. Like, uncannily. Like a discount twin. "He was you," she said. "That's not how time works. Time bends. That's not how I work." I paced in a circle, hands on my head, putting still vibrating softly in my pocket like it knew something. "This makes no sense," I muttered. I was a pilot. A pretty bad one, to be honest. Crashed more than I landed. Then I got reassigned here because I accidentally rerouted a fleet around a black hole. Once. She didn't blink. And yet here you are. Yeah, because of that. Because I messed up so badly they decided to bury me in a ghost station and assign me to an emotionally reserved alien partner with murder eyes. Her head tilted. You exaggerate. Well, yes. It's a defense mechanism. There was silence between us for a moment. The kind that stretches just long enough to feel like something's waiting to happen. Who was he? I asked finally. The other me. She looked up at the stars. He was lost. And kind. And dangerous. That last one's new. He carried a key. Like, metaphorically. No. A literal key. To the thing that ended the fracture war. Okay, but You will remember, she said. I stared at her. No offense, but you're kind of terrifying when you talk like that. None taken. A chime rang through the room. The lights dimmed. Something distant thrummed through the station, power realigning, systems shifting. Blue turned toward the door. Our time is short. You must begin recalibration. Is that a process? A ritual? A medical thing? Because I'm pretty sure I don't have insurance here. It will not hurt. That's comforting. Except when people say that, it always hurts. She walked away. I didn't follow immediately. I looked back at the image, me, not me, someone who wore my face and carried a key that ended a war I'd never heard of. And then, as if the station could sense my unease, the cube from earlier rolled into the room, meowed at me again, and exploded into confetti. Which honestly didn't help. But I appreciated the effort. The recalibration chamber smelled faintly like ozone and overcooked broccoli. It wasn't encouraging. I stood on a circular platform surrounded by pillars that looked like oversized tuning forks, each humming at frequencies that tickled places in my brain I didn't know existed. Blue stood outside the ring, her expression as unreadable as always, though I suspected there was a small part of her enjoying my discomfort. Probably the same part of her that never blinked. A voice, flat, robotic, and vaguely flirtatious, crackled overhead. Welcome, Daniel Solon. Prepare for neural recalibration. Please remove all metallic objects, sharp emotional baggage, and preconceptions of linear identity. I'd ask for a manual, I muttered, but I feel like I wouldn't understand it even if it came with cartoons. Blue didn't respond. Just nodded slightly, as if to say you'll live, probably. The platform lit up beneath my boots, scanning me from heel to regrets. A sharp hiss followed, and the room dimmed. Beginning phase 1, mnemonic resonance, the voice intoned. Something touched the back of my brain, not physically, but like a memory leaning too close. I staggered slightly. Images fluttered across my vision. A face I didn't know. A battlefield I'd never seen. Laughter, mine, but deeper, older. Someone saying my name like it mattered. And then everything snapped back to normal. I blinked. Did anyone else feel like they just remembered a memory of someone else remembering something? No, Blue said calmly. Good. Just checking if I'm alone in my existential spiral. The tuning forks changed pitch. Now it sounded like a haunted barbershop quartet warming up. The lights pulsed blue, then violet, then something that might have been a color but also possibly a taste. Phase 2, synaptic realignment, the voice said. Please remain still. Or don't. The process is indifferent. I opened my mouth to ask what exactly synaptic realignment entailed, but then my legs went numb, my tongue felt like velvet, and I briefly forgot how to alphabet. A low vibration rattled through my teeth. I tried to focus, but my thoughts were hiccuping. And then, just as suddenly, it stopped. The lights faded. The platform powered down. My limbs remembered how to be limbs. I stumbled off the ring like a newborn giraffe and collapsed onto a bench that retracted from the wall with a tired sigh. Blue watched me. Recalibration successful. I feel like my brain was used as a tuning fork, I groaned. Did I just access my past life or accidentally download someone else's? You accessed fragments, she said. Buried deep. Locked behind perception filters. I'd really like to know who decided those were necessary. Because I have notes. She turned, gesturing for me to follow. We walked through an access corridor that pulsed with soft green light. The silence stretched again, and this time I didn't try to fill it. I just kept thinking about what I'd seen. What I'd felt. That face again, mine, but not mine. A flicker of firelight. Someone shouting a name. Maybe mine. Maybe not. I saw a tree, I said suddenly. Huge. Silver leaves. A sky that shimmered like oil. Do you know it? She nodded. The Heartwood of Vel. That's a real place. Was. It no longer exists. Of course it doesn't. Because that would make things too easy. We entered a training deck shaped like a crescent. One side opened into a massive window showing the stars, though whether it was space or a very expensive screensaver, I couldn't say. The floor reconfigured itself as we stepped in, plates shifting with mechanical grace. A spherical bot hovered from the ceiling, blinking to life with unsettling cheer. Welcome to Integration Training Protocol. You may call me Pip. Why does every AI in this place sound like it's pretending to be my friend? I am designed for comfort and moderate banter, Pip said brightly. Would you like to choose a difficulty level? Easy. Too bad. Initiating medium. The floor lit up. Holographic enemies blinked into existence, sleek, fast, with a design that screamed we are very good at stabbing. I turned to Blue, who had already taken a ready stance. Just checking, are these simulations or real enemies with excellent costume design? Simulated. But capable of causing injury. Ah. So video game with consequences, perfect. Pip chirped. Commencing in 3, 2, 1. The first enemy lunged. I ducked purely out of panic, and its blade passed over my head with enough force to give me a new haircut. Blue moved like gravity didn't apply, spinning, striking, disabling 3 targets before I finished gasping. I took a wild swing with a baton Pip had thoughtfully generated for me. I hit one enemy square in the knee. It let out a very offended mechanical wheeze and fell over. Nice, I muttered. I'm now a threat to simulated kneecaps everywhere. Blue landed beside me, flipping her baton with casual elegance. Your balance is poor. Thanks. So is my credit score. More enemies poured in. I managed to hit a few. Got hit more. One tackled me to the floor and tried to punch my spleen into early retirement. Blue yanked it off with one hand and flung it across the room. I lay there, wheezing. Consider this a bonding exercise, I gasped. Noted, she said. We finished the session somehow still alive. The bots vanished. The floor dimmed. Pip offered us complimentary post-training analysis and a digital thumbs up. I declined both. Was that necessary? I asked, limping beside Blue toward the exit. Yes. For skill building? No. For trust. That made me pause. You think beating each other up with holographic sticks builds trust? She looked at me. It is your language's custom, is it not? Team sports. Sparring. Dance battles. You've clearly been watching the wrong Earth channels. I watched all of them. Okay. Definitely the wrong ones. Back in the corridor, the lights dimmed without warning. The floor trembled beneath us. A red alert rang out, low, steady, deliberate. Nothing panicked. Which somehow made it worse. Unscheduled arrival in Docking Bay 2, the intercom said. Vessel ID unknown. Crew manifest, unavailable. Blue stopped. Her eyes narrowed. Is this part of the training program? I asked. No. Cool. Just once I'd like something around here to be scheduled and boring. She turned toward the lift. Stay here. Absolutely not, I said. You think I'm going to sit on a vibrating bench while mystery ships show up uninvited? I have questions. And a deeply flawed sense of self-preservation. She didn't argue. Just kept walking. And I followed, of course. Because somewhere between the simulated fights, the ghost memories, and the floating pudding, I'd stopped pretending this wasn't my life now. Even if I still wasn't sure who the hell I'd been before. Docking Bay 2 sounded like something out of a horror vid. Echoes, flickering lights, suspiciously creaky doors, 10 out of 10 on the something will jump out and hiss scale. And yet, there I was, trailing behind Blue, who was so calm she might have been going to a tea ceremony instead of investigating an unregistered vessel. The lift dropped us into a narrow corridor that smelled like warm copper and administrative negligence. The lights above flickered in a pattern that was either Morse code or a cry for help from the wiring. "I'm just going to say it," I muttered. "This feels very alien parasite right now." "No parasites detected," Blue said without turning. That's exactly what someone infected by a parasite would say. We reached the entrance to the bay. The blast doors were already half open, sparking at the hinges like they'd been forced manually. A trail of fluid, thick, violet, glowy, streaked across the floor. "Great," I said. Mysterious ship. Broken door. Glowing goo. We're 3 minutes away from the bad decision that gets us eaten. Blue knelt and dipped a finger into the fluid. It hissed on contact with her armor. She sniffed it. Not blood. Ah. Comforting. Just acid. Or battery juice. Or alien drool. She stood, hand hovering near her sidearm. I copied her, pretending I knew what I was doing. My hand rested on the stun baton Pip had begrudgingly upgraded for me after I begged it to stop generating ones that smelled like strawberries. The docking bay stretched in front of us, half in shadow, half bathed in the cold white light of overhead fixtures trying their best. In the middle sat a vessel that looked like it had crash-landed sideways into a paint mixer. Angled hull. Jagged fins. Symbols etched along the side in a language that gave me a migraine just by existing. "Recognize it?" I asked. "Yes," Blue said. "Is it friendly?" "No. And yet here we are. Unarmed. Unprepared. Underqualified." "I am armed," she said. "I meant me." "That is accurate." A sharp clang rang out from inside the ship. Blue moved without hesitation, crossing the bay in long, graceful strides. I tried to follow with a similar sense of dignity but immediately tripped on a hose and barely recovered. The ship's ramp was half deployed, bent at a painful angle like it had lost an argument with gravity. Inside, it was worse. The lighting flickered red. Panels sparked. There were scorch marks and, was that a foot? Just a lone armored boot with no leg attached. "Okay," I said, voice higher than usual. We've now crossed into Nope territory. We moved deeper. The corridors were tight, humming faintly. I kept expecting something to crawl across the ceiling and whisper ominous secrets. Instead, we found a sealed chamber with a stasis pod inside. The kind used for long-term survival, or very awkward naps. Someone was inside. Female. Pale-skinned. Markings across her temples. A breathing mask clung to her face, and her eyes twitched beneath closed lids. "Who is she?" I asked. Blue stepped forward. Her voice, when it came, was softer than I'd heard it before. "My sister." I blinked. "You have a sister?" "I had many." "Are they also extremely intimidating and silent?" "She was, not like me." "Define not like me." "She spoke often. Laughed easily. Disobeyed everything. Sounds delightful." Blue placed her hand on the pod's interface. Symbols lit up, danced, resolved into something I could almost read. Her name was Kira. She vanished 3 cycles ago. Presumed lost. This ship, this is hers. But altered. Altered how? She hesitated. This was a scout vessel. It should not have weapon systems. Or shielding dense enough to blind every scanner. Well. Maybe she made a few upgrades. Some people redecorate. Others turned scout ships into stealth warcraft. The pod let out a soft chime. Systems warming. Revival beginning. Wait, I said, backing up. Are we waking her up? Now. In this lighting? Without coffee? Blue didn't answer. Just waited, still as ever, until the pod hissed open and Kira gasped awake. She coughed, flinched, sat up fast. Her eyes glowed faintly. Not metaphorically, literally glowed, a subtle gold sheen that made her look both divine and exhausted. Blue reached out. Kira. Kira blinked, stared, then laughed, a choked, wild sound that bounced off the metal walls. "Oh, stars," she said. "It is you." Then she looked at me. And the smile vanished. Her voice dropped. "What is he doing here?" I pointed at myself. Me. I was just passing through. Big fan of oxygen and not being stabbed. Blue stepped between us. "He is not the one you remember." Kira stood slowly, shaky but stubborn. "No. He isn't. But he carries the same thread." "What thread?" I asked. "The thread of unmaking." "Well, that's dramatic." She stepped closer, and I resisted the urge to hide behind Blue like a nervous intern. Kira tilted her head. "He doesn't remember." "No," Blue said. "His mind was closed." "Who closed it?" Kira asked. "The elders? The keepers? Or did you?" Blue didn't answer. "Okay," I said, raising my hands. "Before this escalates into sister-on-sister passive aggression, could someone please tell me why I apparently used to be a threat to the universe?" Kira smiled again. Not kindly. "Because you were the key, Daniel Solon. And keys, open things. Not all of which should be opened. That's vague and alarming." She brushed past me, nearly collapsing. Blue caught her. "We need to get her to medbay," Blue said. "I'll alert Pip," I said. "No. No AI," Kira said sharply. "Nothing connected. Nothing listening." Blue met my eyes. That rare flicker of concern surfaced again. "Why?" I asked. Kira's voice was barely above a whisper. "Because they're already listening. They followed me here." The lights in the corridor dimmed again. A low, distant hum began, almost imperceptible. "Who's they?" I asked. Kira smiled faintly. "The ones who built the silence." Which, honestly, was a terrible name for a group unless your whole aesthetic was ominous and vague. I sighed. "Fantastic. Can't wait to meet them. Should I bring snacks? Or a therapist?" Neither of them laughed. Which worried me. We moved Kira to the medbay, which, like most things on Theta 9, was only technically what it claimed to be. The auto-diagnosis system kept trying to read her vitals and instead just blinked a confused error message, "Unsupported biology. Please try again with something less weird." Kira didn't seem to care. She lay on the med bed, eyes half closed, humming a tune that may or may not have been a distress signal in her native language. Blue stood nearby, arms crossed in her signature "I am processing 12 layers of emotional conflict but will not be showing it" pose. I, meanwhile, was elbow-deep in a terminal trying to disable every AI-connected relay in the room per Kira's extremely paranoid, and possibly justified, request. "This system is older than my fashion choices in high school," I muttered. "It keeps asking if I want to upgrade to Sentient Medbay Plus. I don't." "You must sever uplink to Central Core," Blue said without looking at me. "I'm trying, but this thing thinks I'm a spam bot." "Prove it wrong." Wow. Motivational speeches from Blue now. What a journey we're on. Kira snorted softly on the bed. "She likes you," she said. Blue's head tilted slightly. That is inaccurate. Oh, it's deeply inaccurate, I said. But I'll take what I can get. The screen finally gave a soft chime of success, followed by a notification, * you are now offline. Good luck, * the lighting in the room dimmed by 5%, which felt ominous, like the station was sulking about being ghosted. We're cut off, I said. No AI. No uplink. No creepy voice giving me life advice at 3 a.m. Good, Kira said. They can't listen here. I leaned against a cabinet that tried to auto-dispense bandages at me. So. These mysterious they. The ones who built the silence. Real subtle name, by the way. What do they want? Kira looked up at the ceiling like she could see past it. They want order, she said. But not peace. Stillness. Control. They come where memory is fragile. Where history folds in on itself. So, like librarians with lasers? She smiled faintly. Worse. They erase. Blue's voice was low. I thought they were myth. Most myths are just things waiting to be remembered. I rubbed my temples. Okay, but why me? Why do I keep getting front row seats to all this universe-shattering backstory when I'm barely qualified to run a toaster? Because you were the key, Kira said. Yeah, we've established that. Key to what? A vault? A secret weapon? A really good sandwich recipe? To the fracture, she said. I paused. That sounds, breaky. It was, Blue said. Kira nodded. Once, timelines were singular. Linear. But something, someone tried to rewrite fate. The fracture happened. Multiple threads, all tangled. Realities bleeding into each other. You stood at the center. Well, that's a big compliment for someone who failed Pilot Sim 317 times. You weren't this you, Kira said gently. Not yet. I sat down heavily in a chair that unfolded under me with a dramatic sigh, as if it too was tired of the plot. So I'm some reincarnated cosmic time-saver who lost his memory and now eats vibrating pudding for breakfast. Correct. Could I at least get a cool tattoo or something? Something that says, ask me about my past lives. You had a mark, Blue said. But it was removed. Of course it was. Can't have anything nice. Kira shifted, propping herself up on one elbow. The silence marked you. Tried to erase your role in the fracture. And her. She nodded at Blue. What? I asked. You and my sister were bound. Blue's expression didn't change. That bond was destroyed. But not forgotten, Kira said. I raised a hand like I was in a classroom I deeply regretted attending. Okay, hold on. Are we talking emotional bond, psychic bond, or like, contractual? Yes, Kira said. Great. Perfectly clear. The lights flickered again. This time not in a friendly, just low-energy grid kind of way, but in the we are not alone sort of rhythm. Blue moved instantly, pulling up the room's emergency shielding. Thin hexagonal grids shimmered into place around the medbay like a digital cocoon. What is it? I asked, moving to stand beside her. Something is accessing external ports. Attempting to re-establish AI contact. I just ghosted them. Did I at least make them wait 3 days? Kira gritted her teeth. They're testing the silence. Again with the cryptic language, I said. Can we please name things more clearly? Like evil network of interdimensional jerks. They're not just out there, she said. They're already inside. The medbay door shuddered. Not opened, shuddered star. Like something was pushing from the other side but didn't want to knock politely. Blue stepped forward. Protect her. I can barely protect my own lunch. She handed me a small device. Sleek. Palm-sized. Warm. Memory anchor, she said. If they breach, it will shield your mind. I stared at it. You had this the whole time. Was waiting for you to stop making jokes. I looked at her. So, never. She gave me something that might have been a smile. Or a glitch. The door finally opened, but nothing entered. Just a hiss of cold air and a low hum, like the room was exhaling dread. Shapes formed in the corridor. Humanoid. Featureless. Made of shifting static, like beings halfway between Channel 3 and a bad dream. One stepped forward, and where its foot touched the floor, the lights dimmed. What do I do? I whispered. Hold, Blue said. To what? Yourself. The figures advanced. Kira gripped my wrist. They won't kill, she said. They erase. Oh, wonderful, I muttered. Erased by a group that looks like haunted screensavers. The first figure stepped into the shielding. It shimmered. Flickered. Then reformed inside the barrier. I raised the memory anchor. The figure paused. Twitched. Recoiled like a cat presented with a cucumber. Blue lunged. Fast. Efficient. Her strikes hit nothing and everything. The figure crackled, shrieked, broke apart like a song being torn in half. Another took its place. They don't stop, Kira whispered. They never stop. Well, then, I said, stepping forward with the anchor pulsing in my hand, let's give them a reason to. I didn't have a plan. But I had a pocket full of sarcasm, a possibly magical paperweight, and two alien sisters with a mysterious past connection to me and an even more mysterious fondness for drama. And right then, that felt like enough. The silence didn't breathe, but you could feel it inhale. 1 second, they were formless shadows twitching at the edge of reality. The next, they were right in front of me, reaching out like bad memories with hands made of static and forgotten dreams. I held up the memory anchor like a sacred relic, praying it didn't require batteries. The nearest figure hissed, not with a mouth, but with presence. It recoiled again, its edges glitching like a corrupted file trying to be smug. Back off, I said, voice shaking. I've got a glowy thing and mild unresolved trauma. Behind me, Kira whispered something in her language, soft, rhythmic, a half-song that made the air shimmer. The memory anchor pulsed brighter, a heartbeat of light. The creature staggered, then evaporated in a sharp crackle that smelled faintly like burned cinnamon and existential regret. Blue didn't look back as she moved through the chaos like a blade through silk. She disarmed one, disabled another, and gracefully kicked a third one directly into a console that exploded in protest. These things don't even bleed, I muttered. I can't tell if I'm winning or just annoying them. Keep annoying, Kira said, barely upright. I was born for this role. The last of the shadows dissolved, retreating like mist in reverse. The lights flickered, then stabilized. Alarms stopped. Doors sealed themselves again, possibly out of embarrassment. For a moment, everything went still. I think we just survived an attempted metaphysical deletion, I said, panting. Should we get a sticker or something? Blue holstered her weapon. They weren't trying to kill you. They were trying to overwrite you. Oh, much better. Love that. Big fan of being a corrupted spreadsheet. Kira sat up with effort. They'll be back. That was just a probe. They know you're waking. I'm not waking, I said. I'm barely caffeinated. You're remembering, she corrected. And that's more dangerous than you realize. Because of the fracture, I said. Right. The timeline mess. Multiversal spaghetti. I'm starting to catch on. Kira looked at Blue. You haven't told him about the vault. Blue's posture shifted, just slightly. It's not time. Well, I said, now that someone's casually dropped the word vault, I think it's very much time. Kira pushed herself off the bed, ignored every protest from her body, and stood like a queen trying to remember where she left her crown. The vault isn't a place, she said. It's a seed. A collapsing point. It holds the original path, before the fracture. Before the rewrites. I blinked. And let me guess. I had the key. Blue nodded. Had, I repeated. Past tense. That's not terrifying at all. You hid it, she said. In yourself. Okay, look, I'm all for dramatic plot twists, but did I literally swallow a cosmic key? It's embedded in your neural lattice. Protected by identity flux and perception anchors. So, yes. The lights flickered again, just once. Kira turned toward the sealed medbay door. We don't have long. They'll adapt. Where do we go? I asked. Down, Blue said. Always down, I muttered. Why can't secret answers ever be up? We moved fast. Kira leaned on me once, then refused to again. Blue walked ahead, slicing open sealed doors with a small device that crackled with violet light. The station's lower levels hadn't been touched in years. Dust clung to the air. Gravity here felt slightly tired. Like it didn't really want to do its job anymore. At one point, we passed a corridor labeled Cognitive Archive, Restricted. The door tried to scan us, failed, then sighed and opened anyway. Inside, shelves of floating memory crystals hummed in lazy orbits. Each one pulsed with faint light, red, blue, gold. Kira stopped in front of one shaped like a teardrop, reached out, and whispered something. The crystal cracked. And I remembered. A field of silver grass, stretching endlessly under two moons. The sky filled with singing stars. And a war. I saw myself, not quite me, standing at the center, holding a blade that wasn't a blade, facing down an army of silhouettes that bled data and time. I stumbled back, gasping. You hid more than the key, Blue said softly. You hid yourself. Kira touched another crystal. It flickered, then died. Too much has already faded. We can't piece it all back together. We don't need it all, Blue replied. Just enough. The room pulsed. A warning. A countdown. They found us, Kira said. How? I asked. They can track memory now. The stronger your recall, the easier you are to find. So my thoughts are GPS enabled. Great. We ran. Down metal stairs that grew narrower with each level. Past chambers filled with broken drones and unreadable symbols. One corridor had vines growing on the walls, even though we were in deep space. I didn't ask. Finally, we reached a door marked with a symbol I instinctively recognized, a spiral woven through a triangle. It tugged at something in my chest. I reached for it without thinking. The door opened. The chamber inside was different. Still, quiet, humming with a presence too large for the space it occupied. A console sat in the center, shaped like an hourglass but pulsing like a heart. Blue placed her hand on it. The floor lit up in a wide circle. Kira stepped inside. I hesitated. If I step in, I said, am I about to meet some ancient version of myself and be told I'm secretly the reincarnation of a time god? Unlikely, Blue said. Comforting. I stepped into the circle. The room shifted. Not physically. Existentially, like reality bent just a little to make space for something old. I felt a pressure in my head, like a thought trying to be born. The memory anchor in my pocket glowed. You don't need it anymore, Kira said. I held it tighter. I'll decide when I'm ready to let go of my glowy safety blanket. Blue tapped the console. Lights surrounded us. The past came, not as images, but as feelings. Trust. Betrayal. A promise made on a dying star. A face I loved, breaking apart. My own voice whispering erase me. Then silence. Then. You, I said, turning to Blue. You weren't just my partner. You were the reason I ran. Her eyes didn't flinch. Yes. I asked you to forget me. Yes. But you didn't. I tried. Kira stepped forward. And now you must remember everything. I'm not ready. You were never going to be. The chamber trembled. Outside, the silence was coming. Inside, I was starting to remember how to be whole. I didn't like it. But I didn't run. The chamber didn't hum anymore. It listened. The moment the circle closed beneath our feet, I felt it, like I was standing on a nerve ending of the universe. A pressure built behind my eyes, like memory trying to claw its way out of a locked drawer labeled "Do not open until ready," which you are not. Blue stood at the console. Calm, as always. Kira paced in slow circles like a tiger doing calculus. I don't get it, I muttered. We found the vault, congrats us. Where's the dramatic music? The ancient prophecy printed on space parchment. A hologram of past me with a bad haircut explaining everything. Kira stopped pacing. The vault responds to identity. Not theatrics. Well, that's a shame. Because theatrics are kind of all I've got. I stepped into the center of the pattern again. It pulsed beneath my boots like it recognized me but wasn't sure if we were still on speaking terms. Blue gestured toward the console. Touch it. That's what they always say in horror stories right before someone explodes. You won't explode, Kira said. See, now I'm suspicious. Still, I touched it. Light surged, warm and sharp. Not pain, more like relevance. Like every part of me had just been told, hey, we've been meaning to talk about your purpose. I saw flashes again. A corridor lit with fire. My hand pressed against a glass wall. Blue on the other side, screaming without sound. Kira lying on the ground. A device in my hand, small, impossibly complex. The key. Then it faded. I pulled my hand back. So. I was kind of a big deal, huh? You were dangerous, Kira said. You say that like it's a bad thing. It is. When you're a time-split echo of yourself wrapped in half-truths and memory dust. Well, when you put it like that, I feel extremely qualified. Blue stepped closer. You fractured the path to save us. Kira added, you also doomed hundreds of iterations. Oh. Not all at once, Kira said. You were very thorough. I sat down on a low bench that unfolded from the floor like it was also tired of the drama. Okay, great. So I broke time. Hid the key in my own brain. Erased myself. Forgot literally everything. Got reassigned to a haunted outpost where I was supposed to quietly not exist. And now the eraser ghosts want to finish the job. Blue nodded. That is an adequate summary. Thanks. I worked hard on the tone. The room pulsed again. A single tone, high, sustained, a cosmic hey, just checking in from the universe. Then a shape appeared in the center of the vault. A hologram. Fuzzy at first, then clear. Me. Not me. Him, me. Confident, older. Slightly more facial hair. Absolutely smug. Well, Hollow Me said. If you're seeing this, congratulations. You've been reactivated. Sorry in advance. I squinted. Do I have to be sarcastic even in recorded messages? Yes, Kira said. It's part of your neural signature. Hollow Me paced the projection like he was on stage at a TED Talk for timeline destruction. "You're confused," he said. "Good. That means the fail-safe worked. Here's what you need to know, the key is in you. The vault is listening. The silence is hunting you because they don't want what comes next." "What comes next?" I asked the hologram, knowing it wouldn't answer. It didn't. "What comes next," it continued, "is rewriting the rewrite. The first thread. The clean path. We broke it to survive. Now, we restore it to live." Blue's voice cut in. "He's activating the sequence." The console began to shift. Symbols unfolded like blooming metal flowers. A pulse echoed up my arm, through my spine, into the back of my skull where I kept all my bad ideas. "Is this going to hurt?" I asked. "Yes," both sisters said at once. "Delightful." A burst of light shot upward, and I wasn't in the vault anymore. I stood on the bridge of a ship. Not Theta 9. Sleek. Organic. Half-grown, half-built. A warship made from memory and myth. Crewless. Silent. Except. "You're back," a voice said. I turned. Blue again, but not blue. Her armor was different. Her eyes warmer. A small scar traced her jaw like punctuation. "You're late," she said. "This is a memory," I said. "This is a moment," she replied. "You're reclaiming it." We stood side by side. Stars burned in unnatural colors. Ahead of us, the silence descended, ships shaped like obsidian tears. We raised the key together. And then I was back. On the floor. Vault humming. Kira holding my shoulder. Blue watching with that unreadable gaze that might have been fear, or awe, or something else entirely. "What just happened?" I asked. "You connected," Blue said. "You woke." I exhaled. "Okay. Good. Now what?" The vault pulsed again, and the console cracked down the center. The lights dimmed. The ship rumbled. Blue glanced at Kira. "It's starting." "What's starting?" I asked, already bracing for regret. "The unraveling," Kira said. "You triggered the first thread. The others will come looking for you now." "Others?" "Other yous," Blue said. My brain twitched. Asterisk other me's asterisk. "They're fragments," Kira said. "Echoes. Some will help. Some won't." "I get to meet me," I muttered. "Fantastic. I can't even get along with past versions of myself during therapy." The vault sealed behind us as we exited. The hallway lights blinked in patterns now. Not warning lights, asterisk navigation star. The station was alive. Listening. Reacting. Pip's voice crackled through the comms, "Hey, sorry to interrupt your time mystery ritual. But we've got company. A lot of company." "Silence?" Blue asked. "Not exactly," Pip replied. "It's, well, ships marked with your name, Daniel. But they're you. Or at least, people claiming to be." I groaned. Multiversal me is here already. Couldn't they have sent a polite RSVP? Kira held out a small shard of crystal. "You'll need this." "What is it?" "Your signature," she said. "So the others know who you were. And maybe, who you are." Blue looked at me. "They'll follow you now. One way or another." I pocketed the shard. Right. Me, leading myself into a war against ancient memory-wiping entities. And winning, Kira added. "Or making an absolute mess," I said. Blue raised an eyebrow. "Same outcome." I laughed. It wasn't brave. But it was me. The fleet of Daniels arrived without warning. Dozens of ships, some sleek in chrome, some cobbled together from what looked like philosophical metaphors and space junk, hovered outside Theta 9 like a family reunion no one remembered RSVPing for. They broadcasted on every channel. Most of them used sarcasm. One sent a haiku. Another sent a plate of cookies digitally encoded into photon signals, which was ambitious and also completely useless. I stood in the command deck, staring out at myselves. "This is weird," I said. "It's about to get weirder," Kira replied, adjusting the tuning crystal sheet embedded into the station's control matrix. "One of them is from a timeline where you're a poet." Ugh. "His ship runs on emotion." "Of course it does." Blue stepped up beside me. She didn't say anything at first, which, by now, was basically her saying I have thoughts and I'm choosing not to scare you with them yet. Finally, she glanced at the display and said, "You will have to choose." "Between what?" I asked. "Which me I like best. Which you will lead." "No pressure then." One of the Daniels called through. A version of me with a scar over his left eye and a leather coat that was 80% swagger, 20% fabric. "We heard the vault opened," he said. "We felt it. Ripples through the fractionette. That means one of us has the signal now." "Yeah," I said, tapping the crystal shard in my pocket. "That's me." "Prove it." I sighed. "All right." "You cried at the ending of Starstream 11, you once kissed a time-displaced ambassador because you thought it was a prank, and your first ship was called the Bad Decision." There was a pause. He nodded. "Okay, fair." More signals chimed in, some eager, some skeptical. One Daniel was upside down for reasons that remained unclear and said he only communicated through interpretive dance. I chose to pretend that feed didn't exist. "This is going to be a mess," I muttered. "Leadership always is," Blue said. "But you are no longer fractured. Tell that to my sleep schedule." Pip buzzed in. "Just so you know, we've got energy spikes across the perimeter. Silence constructs incoming. Big ones. Possibly with glowing bits and bad attitudes." I turned to Kira. "Can we still use the vault?" "It's locked now," she said. "But the memory field you activated is expanding. This station is more than a station now. It's a node." "A node for what?" "For unfracturing." Blue pointed to the incoming signals. "The silence is coming to erase. But this place can overwrite them." "With what?" I asked. "With you," she said. "Awesome." My childhood dream was to become a weaponized philosophical concept. I stepped forward, activated the broadcast, and looked at myself, my many selves, hovering out there with varying levels of optimism and eyeliner. "All right," I said, "listen up, MES. I know you're all used to doing things your own way. Some of you led rebellions. Some of you brokered peace with Star Eaters. One of you apparently married a sentient nebula, and honestly, I still don't understand how that works." Kira coughed gently. "Anyway," I continued. "I get it. We're all stubborn. But the silence doesn't care which version of us wins. They just want us all gone. Forgotten. So maybe, just this once, we do the opposite." I held up the memory shard. It pulsed, and across the fleet, others pulsed too, tiny echoes sparking to life. "We remember," I said. "That's how we fight. Not with guns. Not with tech. With ourselves. With who we chose to be. We overwrite the silence with story." I half expected a dramatic silence. Instead, the poet Daniel said, "That was beautiful, man." The rebel Daniel nodded. "I'm in." Even upside down dance Daniel gave a thumbs up, though it looked like jazz hands from that angle. The ships moved in unison. Not attacking, asterisk amplifying star. Their memory shards pulsed together, syncing with the station's field. The Silence fleet shimmered into view, warping light, distorting time. They were vast, hollow, shaped like nothing and everything. They came to erase. We answered with memory. Blue activated the anchor array. Kira sang something in a language that hurt to hear but felt right. I reached into the vault's interface, and for one terrifying, impossible moment, I was all of me. Every Daniel. Every thread. Every version. And then. We remembered. We remembered the grass fields of Vel, the sound of a laugh beneath two moons, the moment we first chose to fracture reality, not to break it, but to save it. The Silence screamed. Not in sound, but in collapse. Their ships folded, fragmented, disintegrated, not from force, but from story. From remembrance. From refusal. One by one, they vanished. Until only stars remained. Theta 9 went quiet. Real quiet this time. Not haunted. Not buzzing. Just peace. I collapsed into a chair. Did we just win? For now, Kira said. For long enough, Blue added. The Daniels began to vanish, one by one. Returning to their threads. To their lives. One lingered a moment longer, the rebel, the one with the coat. He saluted me. Not bad, he said. Tell me I looked cooler during that speech than I felt. You did. Barely. And he was gone. The station returned to stillness. Pip rebooted and cheerfully announced it was scheduling a mandatory nap cycle, which I supported with all my heart. Later, in the quiet of a recalibrated lounge, I sat with Blue and Kira, drinking a beverage that may have once been tea but had since developed sentience. So what now? I asked. Now, Blue said, you live. Kira smiled. Preferably without triggering another memory war. I'll do my best. I looked out at the stars. Still there. Still burning. I'd started as a discarded officer with no past, no plan, and one functioning sock. Now I had 1,000 lifetimes inside me, and a family I hadn't expected, one with scars and secrets and sarcasm. And for the first time in a long time, I felt whole. Not perfect. But whole.